this shit. Yeah, I said I wasn't gonna do anything. Oh man, today is just yeah. I've got two more videos to react to. Oh dear God! Although one of them I might upload again. I've already done a reaction to the Shang-Chi trailer, but hey, um, there's lots of sequels that happen to be made. And all I can say is sometimes it takes many years to make those said films. When a certain original film has just passed its prime. The point is, it's hard to make sequels. The only sequel I think that so far that they've made that was well worth the wait was Blade Runner 2049. But there are so many sequels that are made like 20 or 30 years after a movie, like a cult classic even. I just saw the thumbnail. I saw Dumb and Dumber and Dumb and Dumber 2. I was like, I love the first Dumb and Dumber. I was a kid when I saw it, so I have a certain nostalgic value for that film. But God, Dumb and Dumber 2 was not good. It was one of those movies where I think some of the critics I respect the most were like they enjoyed it mostly, and I was like, no, this movie's nothing like It was horrible, so to speak. So let's just watch top 10, top 20 movie sequels that were made way too late by Watch Mojo. Take it away, Rebecca, or whoever's narrating the video. Because sometimes it's Rebecca, sometimes it's someone else.
Mark, what's going on?
I have no idea.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down
Yeah, Escape from LA. I did not like
our
that
picks
one.
for the top 20 sequels that were made way too late.
Yeah, man. Comes sort of natural to me, you know. Now forget everything I just said and dance. You look the same. Oh.
Hey, Tron Legacy was a great movie. I'm not gonna say, okay, I will admit CG Jeff Bridges is really creepy as hell, though, but this was kind of like de-aging back when it was just new. Tron Legacy was good in my opinion. I know Watch Mojo just has a personal hatred of this movie. I don't know why. I think Tron Legacy is underrated.
A lot's happened, Sam. More than you can imagine.
For this list, we'll be looking at movie sequels that came out years after their immediate predecessors, much to their detriment. We'll be ranking our entries based on how badly the gap in time hurt their respective films, whether the story was negatively affected, or audience interest had dried up. And we won't be excluding other kinds of follow-ups like prequels, so as long as the films are in direct relation. What sequel do you think missed its window of opportunity? Let us know in the comments. Number 20, Sin City, A Dame to Kill For.
Yeah, because the original one the first one was, I think this was during a bad time in Robert Rodriguez's career where it was, okay, let me just give you a good example. Robert Rodriguez filmography. Robert Rodriguez filmography. Just to give you a fair point, that movie came out at the worst time possible, as not just because it was too late. All right, let's look at it. Yeah, in between Planet Terror and Alita Battle Angel, that was not Shorts was not good. Machete was good actually. Machete was good. But so like in between Machete and Alita Battle Angel, director. Okay. All right, Spy Kids all the time in the four. All right, Spy Kids 4 awful. Machete Kills awful. Sin City A Dame to Kill For not good. And yeah. And essentially after that he went on to direct Alita Battle Angel, which was good. Yeah, Red 11 I've not seen. Ugly Dolls, I did not know Robert Rodriguez directed that. So I'm not believing it. God, this is bad. We Can Be Heroes. I enjoy that. Yeah, and then there's a 100 Years, which is is a short film that's meant to come out on age before it's released to consumers. We'll all be dead by the time, so I wish I could preserve my own body just to see this. Experimental science fiction. All right, yeah, but I did not like I did not like Sin City 2 because first one was so good, and it was like this one's like ugh.
It's like trouble.
Looks like Christmas.
The first Sin City was quite the success for co-director and comics creator Frank Miller back in 2005, roughly quadrupling its budget with a $160 million gross. Though there were many other yarns to adapt for possible sequels, Miller opted to apply the film's visual style to two other projects, 300 and The Spirit, both of which were released in subsequent years. It wasn't until 2014 that we saw Miller adapt his second yarn in the series, A Dame to Kill For, and the results were far less encouraging. Grossing just $39 million off a $65 million budget, the film was a complete bomb, proving the audience simply wasn't there anymore. And for good reason, as the storylines and restructured cast were far less memorable.
Here we are, pal. All of a sudden, this doesn't look like the brightest idea you ever had.
Number 19. The X-Files, I Want to Believe. Technically, this second X-Files movie came to theaters 6 years after Mulder and Scully's last appearance, when the series wrapped for the first time in 2002.
I had a visitor today, Mulder. The FBI wants your help finding a missing agent.
Well, I hope you told them to go screw themselves.
Even so, 6 years is a long time for even stalwart fans to move on to other mystery television like Lost. Of course, a second film was planned to follow up the conclusion of the series, but multiple delays led to it being released in the summer of 2008, which was already historically crowded. It grossed roughly a third of what the first...
Yeah, summer of 2008, probably the worst time to be released. You had Iron Man, you had The Dark Knight, you had lots of movies coming out during that time, so it's understandable.
Film made in 1998, proving that they merely wanted to believe the audience would still be there. Fortunately, it wasn't the last we'd see of Mulder and Scully, as the series returned briefly in 2016.
You look exhausted, Mulder.
It was a long day at the office.
Number 18, Caddyshack 2. Woof. Where to even start with this one?
It's difficult. In my line of work, you learn it's the detail.
Yeah. I never saw Caddyshack 2, but I saw a few clips of it, and all I heard was it's rated PG. And the first one, no. Because I love the original Caddyshack. No, with this movie, oh.
Details would kill you. Just make sure that next time there aren't any screw-ups.
As the late, great Harold Ramis reflected, he didn't even want to write a sequel, but was pressured into doing so by Warner Brothers and the first film's ostensible lead, Rodney Dangerfield. Ironically, Dangerfield was first to back out, prompting Ramis to do the same with only a single draft written. Nevertheless, that didn't stop the studio from using that script to fart out Caddyshack 2 in 1988. Now with Chevy Chase as the only...
Sorry, I gotta really see if I am sitting well. Okay, I'm good here.
Returning star, audiences could smell a dud, as the film bombed and was torn apart by critics for good measure. Simply put, it had a rough go at replicating the comedic tempo of the first, proving that you cannot force fine art.
Whoever sinks their putt wins the match. Frankly, I'm not worried.
Number 17, The Odd Couple 2. We love to recognize a notable anniversary as much as the next person, but sometimes it can be used as an excuse to go forward with a bad idea.
Felix, I haven't seen you in how long? 8, 9 years?
17. 17 years, Oscar. You couldn't even remember that we haven't seen each other for 17 years?
Tell you the truth, I didn't dwell on it.
Such was the case with The Odd Couple 2, which came out a whopping 30 years after the classic original. Sure, Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau had recently had success with the Grumpy Old Men movies, but that did not continue here. Making a paltry $18 million in 1998, the film was hardly the critical success that the original was. Quite plainly, the brand of comedy wasn't as side-splitting as it was in 1968, and an already 10-year-old Neil Simon script didn't help matters. Perhaps Odd Couples work better as a concept than a franchise.
Nothing has changed, Felix. I'm still a pig, you're still a human vacuum cleaner.
I know, so if you don't think it'll work, you just say no.
No.
Number 16, Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles.
Yeah, because I love those first two Crocodile Dundee movies, but this one was like, you're treading water already. Like, I know there are parts of Crocodile Dundee 2 that aren't perfect, but it's a guilty pleasure.
Angeles.
Okay, everyone, we're on a tight schedule here. We better keep moving.
The first Crocodile Dundee.
Hold on.
Okay, everyone, we're on a tight schedule.
Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles.
Okay, everyone, we're on a tight schedule here. We better keep moving.
The first Crocodile Dundee was one of the biggest comedy hits of the 1980s, and the second did fairly well too in terms of dollars and cents. However, the extremely poor reception to the latter made sure that the titular Aussie took off all of the 90s from Cineplexes. Then, at the turn of the millennium, Paul Hogan returned the character to American soil, but this time to the West Coast by way of Los Angeles.
Would have been cheaper here and more realistic.
Apparently, distance does not make the heart grow fonder, as the apparent easygoing nature of the series had all but evaporated over the years.
Comes sort of natural to me, then.
It just made us wish even more that the Australia tourism ad starring Danny McBride and Chris Hemsworth was a real movie.
Wait, hold up. This isn't a movie. No. It's a tourism ad for Australia.
Yep. And I forgot about the ads, because probably I was paying attention to the video then. I'm back.
Yes.
Number 15, My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2.
Yeah, I saw this trailer for this and I was like, no, because I love the first movie. The first one's a funny movie to watch. Even though I'm not Greek, it reminds me a lot of my own family, and my family is crazy. My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 was like, yeah, I think it's because it was a big hit, a cult. It grew a huge cult following. I remember Nia Vardalos tried to do different things. She did My Life in Ruins. That did not work. She tried doing another movie which she directed that happened to also star John Corbett, her co-star from Big Fat Greek Wedding, and that did not work. And it's like, no.
Why convince them to just get it done?
When asked about a sequel to her magnum opus in 2009, Nia Vardalos commented that she was considering taking the characters to their Greek homeland. We don't know if that would have made it worthwhile, but it certainly would have been better than what we got.
That never works.
That never works. That never works.
For what it's worth, 2002's My Big Fat Greek Wedding remains a seminal romantic comedy of the 21st century, but the sequel leaves a lot to be desired. That is, of course, if what you desire is fresh and original comedy, which it severely lacks. Despite the gap in time allowing Tula and Ian to have a daughter of their own, My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 does little to find any themes not already explored.
Do something. I'm trying to not fix everything. That's not working.
That's not working.
That's not working.
Number 14, Escape from LA.
I told
This was such a because I love Escape from New York. I love that movie. Escape from LA is just the same exact film, except even worse. It's not as exciting. The villain is not as good as the Duke from the first movie. The basketball scene, oh god, the basketball scene. I love basketball. This movie almost ruined basketball for me. Why? Also, this was probably when John Carpenter was starting to wear off. Because this is right after In the Mouth of Madness. And In the Mouth of Madness was like, in my opinion, John Carpenter's last great film. Then it was Village of the Damned, Escape from LA. Vampires is okay, but then we had Ghosts of Mars and... I can't. Let's just go.
I want you to stay down. Now look what you've done. I can't believe this.
If there's anything Kurt Russell proved with Escape from New York, it's that Snake Plissken is an action hero worthy of his own franchise. That said, the film wasn't the kind of smash hit that would necessitate bigger and better sequels. So the next collaboration we got from Russell and director John Carpenter were more
one of my favorite Carpenter film and one of the best films ever made.
Grounded features like The Thing and Big Trouble in Little China. Be it advancements in special effects or scheduling, the stars finally aligned for them to do Escape from LA in 1996 with a reported budget of $50 million.
The CG is so bad. Remember that the CG is so awful in this movie. You have no idea how awful the CG in this is. The surfing scene with Peter Fonda is, oh god,
And it did not pay off, the film earning half of that and suffering negative comparisons to the first, effectively killing the prospect of a third film altogether.
You gotta be kidding
me. Number 13, Blues Brothers 2000.
Oh, no, not Blues Brothers. Oh, this is horrible. No, this movie... Why? The original is so great. I love the original film.
While critical reviews were mixed on this one, fans of the original film largely view it as straight sacrilege.
Get the hell out of my office right!
Joe Morton? How did they drag you into this? I only saw clips of this. I didn't ever see the whole film. Why does this exist? Joe Morton, why did you say yes to this? Were you desperate for a paycheck? Okay, this is scary. Let's get out of here.
Right now!
I think you need a hug.
And don't ever come back here again!
Sure, the first was deserving of a sequel, but the tragic death of John Belushi probably
That's the thing. Without John Belushi, there can't be another Blues Brothers movie. God, I miss John Belushi. I remember after John Belushi died, it affected Dan Aykroyd a lot. I think because, like, they were very close friends or something, and it was, like, very upsetting, and so it took a huge effect on Dan Aykroyd, so I can...
should have put the kibosh on that. It would seem, however, that the urge to start up the Bluesmobile again became too strong before long, as Blues Brothers 2000 came out in 1998, ironically enough. No offense whatsoever to John Goodman, but getting anyone else but Belushi to boogie alongside Dan Aykroyd was a fool's errand. It turns out that many people felt the same, as the movie only grossed roughly $14 million when all was said and done. Number 12, Easy Rider, The Ride Back.
We're gonna do this.
I never knew they made an Easy Rider 2. How? How the...
Yeah, you just go ahead. I'll be along.
We're willing to bet very few of you even knew this existed. Indeed, with an extremely limited release that peaked with BikeFest Tampa, no offense to that event, Easy Rider The Ride Back hardly made a dent in the legacy of the 1969 film. Though legal rights were obtained to use the title and archival footage, it comes across more as fan fiction than anything else, especially considering 0 members of the original production returned, even if they did find a Peter Fonda lookalike to play his character's brother.
Thank God Daddy doesn't know any of this, because I don't think he could bear to have...
What, 2 sons like me? Is that what you're going to say? That's what you're going to say, wasn't it?
That's not what I meant.
Still, the biggest strike against this movie has to be at learning the wrong lessons from the first, completely ditching the countercultural themes in favor of its extreme motorcycle love. Number 11, Dirty Dancing, Havana Nights. Dirty Dancing, Havana Nights is a prime example of a potentially interesting film broken down to make a quick buck.
Hold on.
Completely ditching the countercultural themes in favor of its extreme motorcycle love. Number 11.
Oh, okay. Now I'm imagining what happened to Phoebe's voice. It felt like now I think about it, they briefly switched from Rebecca to Phoebe. It's like, oh god, no. What happened?
Dirty Dancing, Havana Nights. Dirty Dancing, Havana Nights is a prime example of a potentially interesting film broken down to make a quick buck, except it didn't even do that.
I'm sorry.
I gotta go.
Originally conceived to integrate the Cuban Revolution into its star-crossed love story, the political backdrop was largely pushed aside to accommodate the dancing angle and draw associations to a far superior film. Barely even managing to recoup its production budget, Havana Nights fortunately proved even the most gullible of audiences wouldn't fall for a bait-and-switch of this magnitude. Look, we loved Patrick Swayze cameos wherever we could get them, but even his presence couldn't justify a cynical marketing ploy.
Now forget everything I just said and dance.
Number 10, Super Troopers 2.
Sorry I'm late. Hit a moose to a 90. Vaporized the biatch.
The first Super Troopers turned out to be a downright cult classic, delivering some truly memorable shenanigans, even if its larger story wasn't up to snuff. There's a danger, however, with developing a comedy sequel over the span of several years, as senses of humor and the genre as a whole are always changing. That was the impediment the Broken Lizard Troupe encountered in making Super Troopers 2, as they weren't able to secure financing until launching an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign in 2015. The film was finally released in 2018, and though it was made strictly in changing. That was the impediment the Broken Lizard Troupe encountered in making Super Troopers 2, as they weren't able to secure financing until launching an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign in 2015.
Okay, I'm
Able to
sorry.
secure financing.
It looks like they put... Yeah. Hi, I'm not Johnny Knoxville. This is a Jackass reject. This is a rejected Jackass done.
Until launching.
Well. This seems like I feel like the accident. I don't know if the editors lazily used a clip. It looks like they would. It really does look like they would lazily use a clip from Jackass.
An Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign in 2015. The film was finally released in 2018, and though it was made strictly for the fans, the antics of the Vermont Highway Patrol simply aren't as endearing nowadays.
See you later, sunshine.
Cuban American!
Cheerio! Okay, this job is as fun as I thought it was.
Number 9. The Two Jakes. No, this isn't a sequel to a movie called The One Jake. As a matter of fact, it's actually the sequel to the seminal neo-noir film Chinatown.
What? 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 Oh my god. Oh, this is hurting my brain. This hurts. This freaking hurts, man.
Jack Nicholson's Jake Gittes character is definitely worthy of solving multiple big-screen mysteries, but the unending series of production troubles this movie had are likely an indication that it never should have been made. Of course, there's the obvious hindrance in disgraced Chinatown director Roman Polanski having to flee the United States to avoid criminal charges. But
what?
Director never should have been made. Of course, there's the obvious hindrance in disgraced Chinatown director Roman Polanski having to flee the United States to avoid criminal charges. But the real kicker came in 1985, when original filming was suspended due to production disputes.
I know what your time's worth, John, and I'll take care of you.
Eventually, Jack Nicholson stepped in to direct himself 4 years later, but by that point, no one cared, the film earning only 2/5 of the budget.
I didn't want you to be involved.
I am involved.
Number 8. Psycho 2.
Gonna get you for this, Norman!
The first Psycho was a massive success when it debuted in 1960, so much so that it's credited as being a watershed moment for the horror genre. However, it wasn't the last, as John Carpenter's Halloween popularized the slasher craze in 1978. Of course, it would have ripple effects, which included Universal bringing back Norman Bates to his eponymous motel. A counter to original novelist Robert Bloch's highly satirical Psycho 2, the unrelated film of the same name couldn't quite adapt Bates into a 1980s aesthetic. Though by no means a failure, the fact that it barely outgrossed the original despite 20-plus years of inflation speaks volumes on the prospect of a fruitful franchise.
What are you doing, Norman?
The ending to Psycho was already perfect. Why add on?
Only your mother truly loves you.
Number 7. The Rage, Carrie 2.
Excuse me, that's none of your business. Look, I know everything there is to know about Carrie White.
Kinda hard to make a sequel to a movie called Carrie when your title character is 6 feet under by the end of it. Allegedly, anyway. Still, that didn't stop someone from randomly digging deep into the Stephen King well to make a quick buck. Except they didn't, as The Rage Carrie 2 only made $17.8 million against a $21 million budget.
Mark, what's going on?
I have no idea.
We mean, with a title like that, how can you blame audiences for staying away? As bad as it was, it somehow managed to get Amy Irving to reprise her role as Sue Snell, making it an official sequel.
With all respect, lady, you are seriously batshit.
Still, we can't help but feel it lies in the remake camp, as it replicates plot threads to banal effect. Number 6.
I can't believe this existed. Did not know this existed. How? How, God? How is this possible? Keep getting notifications. Okay, so it was not written by Stephen King, although it feels like Wall Street Money Never Sleeps. You did not need to make a sequel to Wall Street, because I love the original movie. No, that everything except Daryl Hannah. Her acting in that movie is so bad, but I love most of it. This movie's not good.
Wall Street. Money never sleeps. On the surface, we can see what they were going for here. It just didn't work.
That's not noise. Are we going under?
Wall Street was a pretty solid movie that featured an Academy Award-winning performance from Michael Douglas. So checking in on his corporate raider character Gordon Gekko around the turn of the 2008 economic crisis actually made sense story-wise. Considering the gap in time, it did about as well as it could have. But then there's that
I think this is during a weird time in Oliver Stone's career, so, yeah.
$70 million price tag to consider.
Money's a bitch that never sleeps.
We understand that adding Shia LaBeouf was intended to draw in the younger crowd, but come on, it's a Wall Street movie. It wasn't even either good or bad enough to spark discussion, just doomed to be forgotten by its own mediocrity.
That's great, Val. That's really great. So what's up next?
Number 5, Dumb and Dumber 2.
It hurts, Floyd. It hurts so bad.
Before you mention it, we know there was a prequel that came out in 2003. But seeing as it was made without the lead actors, we like to pretend it doesn't exist like the rest of the world. Speaking of movies we like to pretend don't exist, the direct sequel to 1994's Dumb and Dumber is, well, dumb. Like, in a bad way. We understand the prospect of reuniting Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels in their iconic roles was a juicy one, but couldn't that just have been done, like, in the 90s? Seeing the characters aged up so
or never
drastically makes for a rather
Yeah, you didn't really need to make a sequel to Dumb and Dumber. It feels more like a sequel that was made just to look. It's the sequel to that one movie you loved as a kid, except it's not as funny.
jarring experience, and the throwaway joke they used to justify it doesn't really work.
So you mean that you just wasted the best years of your life? Out the window.
Number 4, Zoolander 2. Okay, last late comedy sequel, we swear. As opposed to the others, this one might have actually worked. What with Ben Stiller's directing track record staying solid in the intervening years with 2008's Tropic Thunder and his continued rapport with co-star Owen Wilson. With the actors aging rather well, it could have recaptured the same spirit rather easily and given us the follow-up we so craved. What we got, however, is a painfully unfunny slapdash of ideas and a general stench of desperation.
Oh, snap!
While the cult audience for the first film remains strong to this day, the jury came back quickly on this one, as audiences smelled the stinker a mile away. Simply put, Zoolander 2 is plain out of fashion.
Hansel, let us in. We want to apologize.
Number 3, Tron Legacy.
Tron Legacy was a good movie. This is probably the only thing this is one of the many things I disagree with on Watch Mojo. I don't know what it is. They have such... What is it with their personal hatred of this movie? Probably why no one likes them.
Tron is one of those concepts that ought to evolve with the advancements in special effects technology, but when you let nearly 3 decades go by, you probably won't have the audience you need to support such a shift. While Tron Legacy made a respectable...
Well, to be fair, the original Tron wasn't really a huge money. It was not really a successful film for Disney at the time, but it did grow a bit of a cult following.
$410 million worldwide, it didn't get the numbers Disney needed to commit to the franchise long term, especially since reactions were rather mixed. Sure, the effects were drastically improved over the original, but the catch came in the form of Jeff Bridges' second character, Clue 2.0, who had to be de-aged to look like he did in the 80s.
You look the same.
Oh, lots happened, Sam. More than you can imagine.
I would have rather preferred... I mean, it would make sense, but, although Clue being a villain was a very interesting thing. Although I would have wanted it could have just worked. It would have worked better Jeff Bridges just dyed his hair instead, rather than de-aging, because this is the early de-aging technology, so... Yeah.
2020 saw Lion director Garth Davis hired for a third film, but that might be another sequel made too late. Number 2, Independence Day Resurgence.
Don't worry, we're in control dive! Falling. It's called falling. No, control dive.
When the star of your film turns down the sequel to make Suicide Squad, usually that's a good indication to pull the plug.
Y'all jokers must be crazy.
Not so according to Roland Emmerich and 20th Century Fox, who were determined to hit the 20-year anniversary of Independence Day with Resurgence. Whereas the first film was fun popcorn entertainment, the second was a forced, lifeless slog that failed to make even half the money the first did, with about twice the budget.
I knew they would come to exterminate you. I came to evacuate as many of you as possible.
And it was originally envisioned as the first of a two-parter to be filmed back-to-back, when it actually turned out people didn't even really want to see one. Should new overlords Disney ever pursue a third film, it might actually be too soon.
Want more Mojo? Ms. Mojo produces original, high-quality pop culture-related videos on all your favorite movies and shows. Plus, celebrity news, fashion, lifestyle, and more.
Hey guys, it's Phoebe with Ms. Mojo.
My name is Sam.
My name is Eliza.
And I'm Emily.
I'm Rebecca, and welcome to Ms. Mojo.
If you want videos on all the best reality shows, videos every day.
Number 1, Avatar 2. It's the sequel that keeps on not giving. After years of delays, it's now scheduled to be released in December of 2022, now that filming is complete. But now we're not even sure there'll be theaters to play it by then.
It's all over.
Nothing's over while I'm breathing.
Okay, we'll let it have its day in court. But if it's anything less than the greatest movie of all time, we'll be seeing it on the...
Avatar is a decent film, not the greatest. Just because it made so much money does not mean it's the greatest film of all time. We've seen better versions of Avatar. Ferngully, Dances with Wolves, Pocahontas, The New World, for God's sake.
On the top 30 of this list one day. Number 1, Basic Instinct 2. Let's just start by listing all the Razzie Awards.
Okay, now that makes sense. They were probably joking. Damn it, Watch Mojo, you got me.
Number 1, Basic Instinct 2.
I remember seeing clips. Yeah. Only the Sharon Stone scenes, and I know which scenes.
Let's just start by listing all the Razzie Awards this movie won and get them out of the way. Worst Screenplay, Worst Prequel or Sequel, Worst Actress for Sharon Stone, and Worst Picture.
You don't seem too upset by what
David Thewlis.
happened.
Of course I am. I'm traumatized.
That paint a pretty good picture for you? Look, we'll grant you that the first Basic Instinct is quite enjoyable in a pulpy sort of way, but it's straddling the line with being pure schlock. Basic Instinct 2 basically...
Hey, I love the first Basic Instinct movie.
...just took that fateful step over the line. Somehow managing to muster up a $70 million production budget, the film, if you can call it that, didn't even make half of its money back.
This time you knew right from the start what I was. And you let it happen again, didn't you?
In all honesty, after 2004's Catwoman, we didn't think Sharon Stone could sink any lower.
Now why would you believe it was me?
Do you agree with our picks? Check out...
Yeah, I feel so bad for Sharon Stone. 'Cause, yeah. Okay, I gotta really... Sharon Stone. How long are we in this video? 34 minutes. Okay, good. Thankful we didn't stop. It's probably gonna slow down anyways. Yeah. Sharon Stone. Yeah, from 2017. Yeah, looks like she got that obvious, selected filmography. Okay, I gotta look up everything. Alright, so... Oh, Police Academy for... Oh, God, no. Total Recall. Basic Instinct, Sliver. Sliver was that attempt to become Basic Instinct, and it wasn't even good. Although I mostly like it for Sharon's scenes. I just wish the movie was better. Let's see. The Quick and the Dead. I love that movie. Casino. Ants. The Mighty. I remember that. I remember seeing it in school because I had to do it for. Yeah. Cold Creek Manor and Catwoman and Basic Instinct 2. Yeah, she's just been getting nothing. Oh, God. Oh, she was in The Disaster Artist as Iris Burton. She was in The Laundromat. Yeah. I can totally see why Sharon Stone had to disappear from the public for a while. I mean, doing Basic Instinct 2 and Catwoman. Why the hell? What the hell? Alright, well, I've got to end the video here. I gotta record that reaction to a trial for King Richard because I did not know what was gonna happen today. I think I'm gonna slow down reactions for a while. I just need to. I'll leave a link to the original video down below and a link to my Instagram. Thank you as always for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you do subscribe, you can hit the little bell next to the subscribe button. And you can be notified about any of my newest videos. Sorry, I woke up at like 9 in the morning. Godspeed, everyone.